What is the secret to losing weight? Well, I'm going to reveal that secret to you. It took me most of my life to understand it as well as I understand it. But I feel like no one took that simple knowledge and explained it in a way that was easy to understand. But strong communicators are able to take complex ideas and make them simple to understand. Meanwhile, poor communicators will take a simple concept and make it sound complicated. So here we go. There are basically 4 different ways that you can, quote, lose weight. And when we say lose weight, we're not actually meaning weight, we're meaning fat specifically. You're not wanting to lose muscle mass, you're wanting to lose fat. You're wanting to shrink your body fat percentage. So there's basically 4 ways. I'll go ahead and tell you what they are and then I'll break them down for you. So first is that you could basically cut fat from your diet, or you could cut protein from your diet, you could cut carbs from your diet, or you could do a little bit of all of those things. But let's break it down. So ultimately, the overall rule, people like to say calories in, calories out, which is true to an extent. For example, if you simply shave off 500 calories a day, every day, for a week, you'd probably lose at least 1 pound. And if you kept doing that, you'd probably continue to lose at least 1 pound. Because ultimately, there's a certain number of calories, usually around 2,000, where if you consume less than that, you're actually going to lose fat because ultimately your body isn't taking in more calories than it needs. And then typically somewhere between 2,000 and 2,600 calories is maintenance. Basically, as long as you stay in that range, you're not going to gain or lose weight. And then typically after 2,600 calories, if you get more than that, then that will be in excess and your body will store that extra calories as fat. So that's the overall rule. But the problem with that is every calorie is definitely not created equal. You can have 3 eggs that'd be about 200 calories, or you can drink a soda that's nearly 200 calories. Which is going to provide nutrients for you? Obviously, the eggs are going to have protein in them, and that's going to help you. And it's not going to spike your insulin to cause you to store fat. The soda absolutely will spike your insulin and will cause you to store fat if you end up having more than the right number of calories for the day. So all calories are not counted equal, and we have to accept that. But with that being said, let's talk about the first one. And that is, for my brother-in-law, Tom, he does this. He doesn't eat fat. He eats meat, but it's got to be like lean chicken breast. And he'll consume sugar. He'll go to Starbucks and get a sugary drink. As long as there's not fat in it, he'll do it. He'll put fat-free milk in it. And he's a lean guy. He's actually about a decade older than me. So it works for him. But what he's doing ultimately is he's removing fat from the equation so that it shrinks his calories for the day. He's staying under 2,000 a day. And certain days he goes over, but it's still only in that maintenance territory. But removing fat from his diet is how he stays lean. Okay? So the next one, and I've done this one, is removing protein from your diet. So I'm 40 now, but for most of my 30s, I was plant-based. I was vegan for, I believe it was 5.5 years and vegetarian for about a 1.5 years before that. So the majority, what I had done is I had basically cut out complete protein, which when you're weight training like I am, now you know that there's a certain number of complete protein that you need in order to actually build muscle. And so, but when you're vegan and vegetarian, it's a different concept. I'm not saying you can't build muscle without it, but I'm just saying specifically, especially as a vegan, I was technically consuming 0% cholesterol because in plant-based food, there's not enough cholesterol to even register as high as 1%. So you can check it out. I mean, you can look at a jar of peanut butter, you can look at a jar of coconut oil, anything that is high in fat and high in calories, but if it's plant-based, it's gonna show as 0% cholesterol. So as a vegan, I was not consuming any complex protein, whereas now I have basically every day a cup of full-fat Greek yogurt, a cup of full-fat cottage cheese, and salmon and bacon and eggs, and I'm doing that every day. I'm pretty heavy on the complete proteins now, but for all those years I wasn't. Well, ultimately, what was I doing? I was reducing my calories for the day by not having meat, not having dairy, etc. And that caused my calories to go down. And it worked for me. I didn't mind it because I was able to consume a lot of fat during that. You have to as a vegan, seeds, for example, nuts. So it totally worked for me until it became too easy for you to be a vegan and eat junk food. So once you could start getting vegan ice cream and vegan burgers and all that stuff, that wasn't that way when I first became a vegan at age 32, but a few years into it, my calories started going up. I didn't understand that concept, which is why I started gaining body fat, but it is. So now we'll go to where I'm at now, and that is being keto. So what am I rolling out? I'm rolling out carbohydrates. So I have protein, I have fat, a lot of it, but the carbohydrates is extremely minimal. Less than 50 grams a day, and that's not even me doing the whole thing about subtracting net carbs, using the fiber, because the fiber in food counts against the carbohydrates in theory to help you be able to not spike your insulin as much. That's the concept. So like for me, my carbohydrates for the day would come from my vegetables that I eat in my salad, my kimchi, my sauerkraut. I have a few berries because berries have a lot of fiber in them, but low sugar. And then even my Greek yogurt has some carbs in it. But like most days, it's definitely less than 50, often less than 30, no trouble at all. So yes, I am reducing calories, but I will tell you on keto, it's not so much about staying under the calories because you're exploiting and manipulating the concept. The calories mean the least, I would say, when you're keto like I am, because when you're not consuming carbohydrates, it means it prevents your body from being able to store fat. So every day, even now, what time is it? It's almost noon. I've eaten zero food. I've had 2 cups of coffee. Actually, I've had 1 cup of coffee with a teaspoon of MCT oil. So like 80 calories worth of pure fat. My insulin did not spike. I've been fasting all morning. I will continue fasting probably till dinner today. I will have some coffee, second cup of coffee with a shot of heavy cream in it, but it's still not gonna spike my insulin. So there's something remarkable about that you're constantly not storing fat because you're not spiking insulin and you're not eating during the day. So when I finally do eat, it's gonna reduce I only eat like during a 2-hour window every day basically. So there's only so much food you can eat during that. I do my best to get as much protein and fat during that window. That's important, especially when you're weight training. You don't wanna lose muscle mass because you didn't eat enough complete protein. So that is a way to sort of manipulate the calories in, calories out concept, and it's working for me. If it didn't work, you wouldn't be looking at this guy now. You'd be looking at the guy from a year ago or a year and a half ago that weighed a lot more and wore different size clothes. So clearly, this is what I've been doing, and it's working for me, despite all the trainers out there on the internet, well, and in real life, who will tell you keto is not sustainable, it doesn't work, and really it's just about calories in, calories out. Well, I feel like I'm proof that it does work, and that mentality of it's only about the calories is not accurate. There's large truth in it, and it's a good fundamental concept. But keto is the one thing that really, I think, alters that. So then the last option you can do, if you're not cutting out, greatly reducing fat or protein or carbohydrates, then the last option is to do a mix. Now, I disagree with this one personally. This would be more like Weight Watchers or something like that, where it's everything in moderation. I think it allows you to not be as disciplined. For me, I want structure. So if I'm just saying everything in moderation, then that means I'm simply counting calories and that's it. Which means that you could go to McDonald's and get a combo meal, and you can eat that as long as, and that may be 1,600 calories if you get a combo meal at a fast food place. And if that's the only thing you ate, if you did like I do and you do intermittent fasting, it's the only thing you ate, in theory, it'd keep you from gaining weight. But ultimately, what I'm looking at is I want to be healthy. I want a system that's going to work and be easy for me. I don't mind the routine of it. I don't mind eating basically the same thing every day, which is pretty much how my life is. Now, on the weekends, it's different. We'll go out to a restaurant or whatever. I often still will only eat the 1 meal a day to kind of help balance out the true weight of those calories, because I'm not saying calories don't matter at all. They do on keto, but still I'm mindful of it. And if I can have my body not storing fat the majority of the day, instead burning off excess body fat through fasting, then that's what I'm going to do. Because keep in mind, pure fat does not store fat. It doesn't trigger insulin. So I can get away with a little bit of cream or coconut oil, MCT oil in my coffee. So there you go. You can do a mix of all four of those things and just keep your calories low, or you can just rule out one. But ultimately, if you do that and you're consistently doing it, you're going to ultimately reduce your body fat percentage. Your comments belong right here.